Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, if you thought that this was the only time we were going to talk about the Oregon Ducks was late Saturday night, just instant reacting to that game, you out your damn mind. Now I'm sitting here Sunday afternoon rewatching this game a couple of more times. I got some more takes that I want to get off my chest. Now, we're going to get nitty gritty because, Dill, when we instant reacted to this one late last night, kind of just talked about the big names. There were a lot of really good performances from Oregon late Saturday night. This is where I want to start. Number one, that game was played the way Penn State wanted it to be played. It was a little bit slower. It was a little bit more leaning on the line of scrimmage because you look at the matchups in this game, we knew that Oregon had more firepower. They just had more playmakers specifically on the offensive side of the football. Penn State slowed it down, got it into a little bit more of a rock fight that relied more on line of scrimmage play. Here's the takeaway. Oregon beat them at their own game. Oregon was better along the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the football. I mean, you talk about Oregon outrushed Penn State. Oregon had more negative plays than Penn State. That's my biggest takeaway is that Oregon just showed the college football landscape that you want to try to make this an ugly game and lean on the lines of scrimmage. We can beat you at that too. Because I'll say this, Penn State's one of the best line of scrimmage teams that we're going to see in the country. And Oregon was just better up front. The number two takeaway, your best football players, and that is Oregon's best football players, they were the best players on the field. That's important. That might sound kind of obvious, but go look at the national championship teams that we've seen over the last 5 years. You go look at Ohio State last year, Michigan in 2023, the Georgia teams in 2021 and 2022. When they had their dogs on the biggest stage against the best teams were the best players on the field. Who were the best players on the field Saturday night? It was Mateo Yu. It was a guy like Tatum. It was a guy like Dante Moore. It was a guy like DeCorian Moore, Dair Hill, Dill. Oregon's best players were consistently the best players on the football field. And that's not a shot at Penn State Stars because they got a bunch of really good football players. But who had a bigger impact, Mateo Yu or Dani Dennis Sutton? Now, two guys that are going to go in the first round of the NFL draft, just one was a little bit better Saturday night, and that was what Oregon had. Those are my two big takeaways. We got a bunch of takeaways I want to get into before we do an as always to the Oregon fans. And look, if you're watching the boys on a Sunday afternoon, chances are you've watched this game a couple of times as well. Please let it rip in the comment section. Biggest takeaways upon rewatching the game. What you got, let it fly in the comment section. And to the Oregon fans, appreciate you guys. We got up there late Saturday night. The amount of support the Oregon fans were showing was amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, without further ado, let's get into what we and you both realized was a really big story, and that's what Dante Moore was as an athlete for this Oregon offense.
It was interesting to see them design some runs for him because, I figured we need to see him scramble around a little bit and avoid some sacks, which he certainly did. But putting him, giving him a direct snap right on a fourth down play and just asking him to go get it, it's kind of an interesting wrinkle that I frankly didn't think we were going to see. And I do wonder, when you go see the other big dogs on the schedule, if you will, maybe in Indiana, maybe a Big Ten championship game, is that going to be a wrinkle that they can go to? Because you look at the way he's running the ball, it's much better than I would have thought. I mean, it's not just the athleticism, he is a far better athlete. And we talked about him needing to get that way
And he did.
after seeing what he did at UCLA, where the athleticism was probably below the Mendoza line, if you will, for what you're looking for from your quarterback. It's certainly there, but also a really good feel of how to pick things up and get short yardage plays and make things happen. I'm kind of interested in how much they go to that type of stuff as wrinkles again when they need to find something that
stuff matters, man. That stuff matters so much. Those fourth and short situations, being able to routinely pick those up and having Dante Moore as an asset, as an athlete in those. Go look at Will Howard with Ohio State last year, like JJ McCarthy in 2023. I know I'm cherry picking the national championship teams, but Dill, it matters because that's the conversation that Oregon fans are having. It's like, how do we get to that national championship level, having a quarterback that can come up big when the moment's the biggest? Dill, the design runs were cool. And look, I think he can just lean on a guy like Jordan Davison to pick those up too. my bigger takeaway is what he did get himself out of trouble. Just consistently, because Dill, we can say it how it is. It's not like the tackles were elite. The tackles were good. The tackles passed the test we wanted to see them pass, right? But when you're going up against a team like Penn State, or when you see a team like Ohio State, or when you see a team like Georgia in the college football playoffs, you're going to have pressure in your face at times. Dante Moore's ability to get himself out of trouble, throw off platform, and create plays, such a massive storyline and why Oregon won this football game. And then Dill, we got to talk about this offensive line because we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. It was like, not only did it look good, it's looked elite the last couple of weeks, and we kind of were sneaky saying, hey, this might be one of the best offensive lines in the country. Dill, they had the better offensive line in this football game. The name that I want to shout out right quick, Dave Luley. I mean, you talking like there are people who get up there and run their mouth about Oregon not developing football players, man. Like Dave Luley, talk about a redshirt junior that is now a starting in a crucial piece on this Oregon offensive line, moving bodies, holding up in pass protection. I thought this Oregon offensive line, especially in that kind of environment against that kind of defense, was really damn good on Saturday night.
You know, and it's not just blocking up the front, but like getting up to linebackers, creating those creases and
Yeah.
allowing you because again, they weren't really finding anything explosive in the passing attack. And
No.
that's not necessarily stunning. It's hard to have the time to do it. It's a good secondary, obviously, Penn State has. But like using that aggression that Penn State was going to throw at
Yeah.
you, you knew they were going to be aggressive with their front, which presents its own problems. But again, being able to get a hat on a hat, getting up to linebackers, allowing those creases to hit those big plays off of like those certainly, at least early on in that football game, felt like kind of the difference in the game where Penn State just couldn't find anything explosive in any dimension of the football game. Oregon, while not being wildly explosive in the passing attack, was pretty consistently hitting some good sized runs.
Having an offensive line, excuse me, that you can go on the road and lean on in the run game. Because Oregon not throwing the football a ton and not getting super aggressive downfield, I don't think that had anything to do with Dante Moore. I don't think they wanted to ask this offensive line to hold up in pass protection a ton, right? Michigan had a very similar situation a couple of years ago when they went on the road to play Penn State, right? Having an offensive line that you can lean on to run the football on the
Well,
road.
let's be frank. I mean, if you can run the ball and do it like almost everybody would, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. If you can
Yeah.
run the ball at a really high level, that is the easier path to winning football games, less variance. It just like, again, if Oregon can play that way and then have a quarterback who, again, when moments are big, will make the big
Yeah.
plays that Drew Allar, obviously for Penn State, doesn't make, like that is kind of a really strong recipe, I feel like, to being a championship level team.
The positive takeaway, because this wasn't always true last year for Oregon. Like the big positive takeaway is you just showed you can run the football on pretty much any front in the country, right? If you can run the football like that against Penn State on the road, there's not many defenses you won't be able to have success with running the football. That's something that I don't know if you could always say for Oregon last year, but this often it's a better unit, and that I can't believe we're having this conversation, right? It's a better offensive line than what you saw in 2024, and they lost 2 NFL draft picks at tackle. The interior, the tackles struggled a little in pass protection, both Isaiah World and Alex Harkey. And again, that's not a shot at them. That's a really hard environment to hear the snap count, deal with those edge rushers. That interior offensive line was so nails. And when you have an interior offensive line that's taking care of the pocket, where you can step up, even if your tackles are losing a little bit, you still got kind of a clean pocket to step up into. Dante Moore had that. 75. Here's the stat line that I kind of got from it is Oregon threw the football. Let me get this stat right. On 75% of dropbacks for Dante Moore, he was clean. That's a really good number when you're going on the road and playing Penn State. Dill, unsung heroes. Look, the biggest storyline to me was that Oregon's best players were absolutely dominant in this football game. But as you rewatch that game, there's so many different guys that stand out to you. I'll give you the T-box. You can go to the defense side of the football too, because we're going to talk defense in a second. Who are the names that the national media won't talk about, but you thought showed up in a really big way in this football game?
I'll give you two, and I think it's Gary Bryant and Malik Benson, like wide receivers who,
Yeah.
again, I've probably had my doubts about in terms of what they can be, or like they feel a little or they have felt maybe a little gadgety at times in their respective past. Like Gary Bryant, like have you ever seen him play particularly high level wide receiver? Probably not. You've seen him be an effective guy with the ball in his hands, a bit of a gadget, like slot wide receiver type player. I don't think you've ever seen him make those type of like big catches like that third down where
Sure.
he's picking the ball right off the grass and then he does it right again on the next play. Like those are big catches that to me, like, yeah, you knew DeCorian Moore was that guy, or you certainly hope so. And he has played every bit like that, like number one wide receiver. I think your ancillary pieces have really stepped up. Even Malik Benson, like his stat line doesn't look unbelievably good. I mean, 2 big plays I feel like he made. Like, even
Yeah.
catching a screen that didn't have a ton of space and instead allowing it to be like a 0-yard gain and putting yourself behind the sticks, giving yourself
Go
4
get sacks
yards and
before,
running
yeah.
hard with it, catching that like, even just being able to find space in the zone and being able to make those type of plays, that was always the question. Like, is Malik Benson that type of guy that you can trust to do it? Again, not a huge night for him, but the 2 plays he had opportunities to make, he made them, and that's not been something we've seen in the past from Malik Benson.
Yeah, I feel like he had a lot of supplementary pieces step up. And here's a story. How about this for you? Freshman. Oregon had 424 total yards of offense in this one. Almost 200 of them came from the Oregon freshmen on the offense side of the football. Dyer Hill was the best running back in the game, right? I don't think that's unfair to say. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, they were good. Dyer Hill was better. He had 82 yards, averaged 8 yards a carry. Jordan Davison. Here's the thing with Jordan Davison. The stat line's never going to look crazy with him, but he serves a very important piece when he's on the football field, whether it's him picking up short yardage plays or him being a lead blocker. Crucial to what Oregon was doing on those fourth down plays. And Dill, that was a massive part of why Oregon won the game is what they were doing on fourth downs. And then obviously to Corey and Moore. Let's flip to the defense real quick. You mentioned it, and I'll just second it real quick. Bear Alexander, that is a massive storyline for Oregon, right? That was one of the biggest concerns. Like, how good was Oregon going to be in the middle of that defensive line? And Amari Washington's been great. Bear Alexander's probably better than Amari, at least more impactful than Amari Washington, who led Oregon in run stops last night. And that was the big storyline heading in. Hey, could Oregon stop the run, specifically in the middle of that defensive line? Penn State's going to run right at you, or are we going to hold up? Out of everyone on that Oregon football field, Bear Alexander led this football team with 5 run stops. Disruptive, but Dill, not only penetrating, getting behind the line of scrimmage, creating some negative plays, doing the dirty work, man.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the big thing, like eating up blocks, because
yeah,
that was like you saw him do things at USC where he would make those sort of plays and get in the backfield.
yep,
But against double teams, you'd also see him like 5 yards down the field and like being right in his linebacker's lap. I mean, all night just being really tough on again a Penn State offensive line that has really been able to move guys and frankly was able to move guys on Oregon last year where they
yep,
were moving them off the ball and running the ball really well. Yeah, I can't say enough about what he did. And obviously, Amari Washington, he did what he has been doing. But Bear Alexander to give him like over 30, well over 30 snaps in
yep.
really high level football, really impressive day for him.
Yeah, and Mateo, I know we've already talked plenty, but he didn't come off the field once. I was like, did he come off the field once? I said that late last night. Then I went and looked this morning. No, Penn State ran 60 plays on offense last night. Mateo, you played 60 plays on defense. I mean, that is, and how hard that kid was playing, both stopping the run and coming after the passer. That's a special performance. And Dill, we talked very similar about Ruben Bain last week against Florida. Ruben Bain didn't come off the field one time against Florida. Mateo, you very similar kind of football game for the Oregon Ducks. Brandon Finney in that secondary. Dill, the boundary cornerbacks for Oregon when targeted did not give up a single catch. The only completions that Penn State had, even to the wide receivers, when they got them on safeties. These boundary cornerbacks are studs, man. They're absolute studs. And I cannot wait to continue to see what they can do when they play a team like Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, right? Because last year, you just didn't really trust your cornerbacks to win. And I don't think they'll have a performance where they're not giving up a single catch. Well, man, and Brandon Finney tackled his butt off. How about Jaden Kennedy? That was another really important piece. Look, if you're going to play nickel against Penn State, you got to tackle. And Jaden Kennedy came up with some really big plays supporting the run in that football game. The coolest part was it felt like all 3 levels you just got really good play from. You got any other names you wanna shout out? I'm ready to wrap it up.
Aaron Flowers, I don't know if we've talked enough
Which,
about him, but like he was
yeah,
really good. Again, like you talk about guys who fly up and can tackle people in space. Such an issue last year at times when
yeah,
Oregon played athletic,
yeah.
good
You
football
know
teams.
what? Sorry to interrupt. Dang it, I did it. I'm sorry. The team speed. Like Penn State got a few to the perimeter that worked, right? I mean, Ohio State killed, and I mean killed Oregon getting to the perimeter last year. Just like Oregon just did, they were just a slow football. They weren't a slow football team, but they weren't as fast as they needed to be. Penn State tried some perimeter stuff. This team closes distance, just different. It's a faster defense, a bigger, stronger, faster defense than we saw last year, especially at the second and third level. Dylan Tiemann, Jaden Kennedy, Aaron Flowers, they just fly around the field, make plays. Really encouraging performance for the Oregon fans. And again, I do think this team only gets better. And that's what it's about, right? We won these kind of games last year too. You beat Ohio State at home last year. You got to make sure you continue to get better as a football team. So when it comes time to play in December and January, when it matters the most, you're playing your best football. And if Oregon does that, they got as good of a chance as anybody to win a national championship. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.